get? How does it feel to just come through? Not the trigger. Not the trigger. Kill him. Do it.
I'm not gonna lie, I hit him for 120 HP. Like, he's literally one.
Oh, they're mad at me. Oh, I just ran out. Oh, I'm dead.
Oh, you joking me. Okay, how about you guys? You got that one. God damn, I cannot get up there.
Ooh.
They were.
If I had to break down and give you like a quick like breakdown of what S tier legends are, I think S tier, S tier, S tier, S tier, S tier. I think A tier goes A tier, A tier, A tier, A tier. My opinion. If we're talking Horizon pre-nerf, she might have been A tier. Borderline S tier. Bang is definitely A tier. Valkyrie is A tier because her ultimate brings nothing to the table, right? Like, you have to think, when you're talking about tiers, you're talking about legends that bring something to the table in all forms. Every ability matters, right? Bloodhound, scan, ultimate, everything matters. Dome, Gibraltar ult, ultimately, like, you throw your ultimate on an enemy Mirage ship, gets them off of high ground, makes them reposition, you scan with Bloodhound, you change the fight. I say Octane's A tier. The reason I say Octane's A tier is because he's only good when he has his jump pad. Other than that, he's not really that good, right? Like, he's good, but he's not like a Pathfinder who has a Q that literally gets him fucking, he has 3 of those. You know what I'm saying? Whereas you just have 1 jump pad. Bangalore is A tier because the smoke can either fuck you or help you. And the smoke, the way that the meta is right now is not a lot of people are rocking. Like, you need to spend a F ton of money for a digi threat. And like, realistically, like a digi threat, like you're upgrading an R9 for a digi threat, a Volt for a digi threat, when you could upgrade like pretty much any other weapon and be just as strong. Like, you're going to probably use a holo or a classic and not a digi threat. Like with Bangalore, like a Volt with a digi threat is still really good, but like, you're spending so much money for it. Whereas like, you could do an L-Star or a Wingman and buy meds. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much more utility, maybe in the later rounds, but like Bangalore is more like a later round legend because you're able to like utilize your full kit. But the way that the meta is right now on top of that is if you're playing Bangalore, 99% of the time, you're playing against fucking Bloodhounds. You know what I mean? Mirage, I would say Mirage is between A and S. We haven't seen much of him, but the players that I have seen use Mirage, really strong. Really, really strong. His ultimate in a 3v3 arena setting is extremely difficult to like to play around because you're just like, they pop that and you're just like, whoa, like you're really confused. And on a very small map, it actually does confuse you. His ult is really strong in arenas, and just for the simple fact of confusion, I think he's borderline S tier. I think he really brings a lot to the table. Pretty much everyone else on the list is irrelevant. I think Caustic you can make an argument for Caustic. You can make an argument for Crypto and Revenant, but only if those are combined with different legends, right? Like you have like the Crypto ult into an Octane jump pad, which has the potential. Same thing with Revenant ult, right? Like, but that's a 1-rounder. It's like you literally have a play for 1 round, and like, what is that, right? Like arenas is 3 rounds to all the way up to 9 rounds. Like, it's kind of like why play a legend specifically to win 1 round, and it's not even guaranteed, but you have a high chance. Wraith is A tier because she's super, super, super good, but she's a solo legend, right? She has a lot of the maps have a lot of like upper level, lower level, where like you would much rather a scan, you would much rather a bubble, you would much rather a res, you would much rather a grapple or a zip line. You know what I mean? Like, there's other legends that go before her. Specifically because she's a solo legend. She's good at doing damage and backing up, but the maps are they're small enough for the mid-range, close range, where like she's not as effective as like, why would you just go rush in as Wraith and then Q out to go 20 feet away, right? Like, it's not exactly, like, it's good, but it's not S tier. Whereas like Pathfinder, you can do 150 damage, grapple on their fucking forehead. You know, like you're in there. You do 150 damage on Bloodhound, you're scanning, you're getting a shit ton of information on everybody. You take 150 damage, you're dropping a bubble at your feet and you're healing and you're bringing the fight, being like, come on. Or you're like reset, right? It's a nice little reset. Lifeline, same thing. You have your ultimate ability, or not ultimate, but you have your res with the backpack. The way the backpack is right now, you can res your teammate, hold. You're surviving your teammate with 150 HP off the rip. Like you're completely putting that team at like either to be super, super aggressive or they just get demolished, right? Like it's one of those things where the backpack is it should be a one-time use, but it's not. As the arenas stand now, it's just ridiculous. Horizon is not even, I don't even think she's A tier. I think she's borderline fucking B tier because Horizon Q, you pop a Q and you're taking a goddamn hotel elevator up, just being like, doo, doo, doo. Like you're just going so slow. Like I'd be looking at Horizons being like, really? That's what you're doing? Okay. All right. Like they can literally give you a full-on fucking speech on their way up to their queue. Like it's the dumbest shit. So she just dies, right? Her ultimate ability is like, it's good and everything like that, but you can only buy it every other round, right? So like she's not really in the conversation right anymore. She's just not. Rampart is just an S tier legend because you have such a suppressive fire. You guys saw it. I played an off angle. Like you start to understand like arenas is all about positioning and outplaying and gun skill, right? Like I would say it's gun skill over position for most of the time, which is so ass backwards from BR because in BR it's very position based, whereas like arenas is like the maps are small enough to where like your positioning and aim are almost level, like they're almost the same. But when you're playing Rampart, if you do play that off angle with sniper rifles, that other team is going to be taken so off guard and they're like, whoa, like what the fuck, right? Like, and then, yeah, obviously out healing, like, she allows to do so much damage with a barrier with like, she's taking less damage. She's being more aggressive she can be passive or aggressive and just kind of like do a lot. So Valkyrie's A tier because again, her Q isn't detrimental. The only thing that's good about her is her movement. And I would say that she's only really good on artillery. She could be good on Mirage too, but for the most part, she can't like fly high distances. She flies medium, like it's one box climb on pretty much all of Mirage. Everything is a one climb on Mirage, if that makes sense. You're not climbing multiple things. Like on artillery, you're climbing like a wall, then a door, then up on the roof. Like every other like place you climb on any other maps are just like you climb a box, you're up. You know what I'm saying? So like she's not like stupid strong in terms of like, you know what I mean? Legends do matter per map. Yes, I do think legends matter per map. I think Valkyrie has the potential to be... Nah, I think Valkyrie's just an A tier. I think it determines on the player. I think a lot of players could be good with certain legends, and I think you could be above average in certain legends. But I think you would want that same mechanically gifted player on somebody who's going to put a lot of value on your team. And I think like off-meta legends such as Mirage and Rampart are going to be what you need. Grenades are unbelievably important. I think Fuse is just as irrelevant as he's always been. I don't know how they bring him into the game. I really don't know. It's just his ultimate in theory is so fucking good. But what I don't think they're realizing is they're like, trap them in a small area, blow them up. That would be really cool if 90% of the legends that you fucking bring into this game didn't have a movement ability. Wraith Q's out of it. Gibraltar just bubbles it. Like, you have fucking Octane jump pad out of it. You have fucking Valk fly out of it. Horizon Q's out of it. Like, Loba Q's out of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like pretty much Pathfinder can Q out of it. He can zip his like, let's see all the legends that can zip their team out of it. You can get your team out of it. You can get your team out of it. Like, you can get your team out of it. I think you can eat it. You can get your team out of it, and you can get your team out of it. It's like, and realistically, like, we're talking like meta legends. Like, if we're talking meta, like, if you get caught out with a fuse, like you in competitive, you have one of them on your team. Watson might be A tier. Hear me out. Watson, because what have I said so far? Nades are ridiculously important. And every time ship, the tree map, maybe not artillery. Watson is probably the most irrelevant legend on artillery. And that's fine, right? But on Mirage, there's literally so many fucking angles you could place it and it would not get killed. That's actually kind of goated.